Greetings from sunny Central Florida. Welcome to Grace's neighbor Sharon. Let's get to crafting. So before we start the video, I just wanted to show you this cordless glue gun. The makers of the glue gun reached out to me and asked me if they furnished me with a glue gun that I would do a review, and I agreed to do so. It's cordless and it stands up, and that right there is a big selling point. So wall hangings, this video is all about wall hangings and the 5 easy steps to get a perfect wall hanging. You have the blank, the background, the focal point, the border, and then the embellishments. And if you remember those 5 things, you'll come out with a perfect wall hanging every time. So here I'm taking the mirror apart. The mirror is my blank, the sheet music is my background, and the mirror border is my wall hanging border. So right there I have the 3 things that you remember. Underneath the mirror you'll see the poster board letters. I'm going to use those to make my focal point, which is the word love, L-O-V-E, and I'm going to do it like the home signs, and I'm going to put it in the middle of the background. So I'm using the glue gun for the first time here, and there's a few bubbles, but the glue comes out really nice. It just feels like it's gliding out, like you have to keep pressing, like press in and let go, press in and let go, but it glides out really nice. It has a good glide feeling to it, and I'm using it to glue the sheet music to the cardboard, and I'm just going to leave the mirror in there. I'm not going to mess around with. I kind of liked that I had something flat and sturdy in there instead of just the cardboard. So I go all around the edges there. And you see how I just put the glue gun through the border? Because I could, because there's nothing attaching it to anything. It's not plugged in where all my other tools are plugged in, and stuff is not falling on the floor or getting tangled up. It's fantastic. Just that factor alone, that it's cordless, you know, is a huge selling point for me. But also, it's a nice quality glue gun. I really do like it. And I'll be using it in other videos, but you do need to be careful. If you have it on for a long time, it does lose its charge. Like, you can't use it all day on one charge. Like, what I would do is after each project, I would turn it off. And if I'm not going to do the project right away, I'll plug it in and charge it again. Because I tried doing, I think I tried doing 2 projects, and towards the end of the second project, the light went out. And that's another thing that I like, is there's a light. But anyways, I put some Mod Podge on those love letters. You can put those down and pull them up a few times, but you want to be careful to not press them down well unless you're absolutely sure they're where you want them to be. I don't normally use Mod Podge, but I used it with the sticker letters because I didn't want them to come up. Now I made a bow using the awareness shape, cinched it tight, wrapped twine around the middle, and then dovetailed the ends. I grabbed some Dollar Tree lavender in white and purple, and that's gonna be attached to the bow. And this is number 5. This is the last thing you need to remember when you're making wall hanging or wall art, and that's embellishment. And sometimes the border and embellishment, you know, come together, and in this instant it kind of does. The embellishment is going to be glued to the border. So I actually glued, put some glue on the tag just to get an idea if it was still coming out, you know, because first time being used. And I noticed it was pretty hot, so I decided to use my glue finger. Now the makers of this glue gun don't say whether the temperature of this glue gun is high temp or low temp, but they do say it's between 80 and 140 Celsius, which is right up there with high temp glue guns, according to my research on Google. And here I'm just going to pinch the flowers together. So I have 2 purple and 1 white on either side. And I didn't even wrap any separate twine around them. I'm actually just going to glue them to the back of this bow. And I put down a healthy dose of glue there. Then the flowers are just going to be pressed right into that glue because I, again, put a healthy dose down. And while I'm holding them and the glue is still setting, I'm going to go ahead and wrap the twine around and further adhere it to the back of the bow. Once I've done that, I tie a double knot, and then those flowers are not going anywhere. And you see I use the stand-up feature of the glue gun, and I'm loving it. Really loving it. I'm going to have all the information on the makers of the glue gun and where you can purchase the glue gun down in my description box. It's an Amazon company, and you can purchase the glue gun in a pretty box off of Amazon. There we go. I finally finished messing around with the bow and the flowers. I'm going to put another healthy dose of the glue on the border here, right in the top. I kind of eyeballed it, but I basically just want it right over top of the word love. And that's all I'm using to adhere this bow and flowers is the glue. And then I put some vertical beads of glue and some horizontal beads of glue to get the hanging rope to adhere to the back. And there you have it. There's the love wall art, and I'll show you more at the final review. Okay, project number 2 is another piece of wall art with a blank, a background, a focal point, a border, and some embellishments. Let's get started. So I'm using a hanging chalkboard as the blank, paint for the border. The love word and flowers are the focal point. So I'm just going to flip the chalkboard over and use the back of it, and I'm going to paint it with some folk art cottage white chalk paint. And it takes like 2.5, almost 3 coats. I wanted a nice white covering, and I didn't want to be able to see any brush strokes or anything like that. So I also make sure to get the sides and the top. And I'm really careful about making sure everything gets covered. So here we go. Now on to the flowers. They're die-cut flowers. They're very thin and delicate, so you got to be careful. I'm just using some acrylic paint in pink, turquoise, and yellow. And it's just to give a little bit of dimension to them since they're so small. I didn't just want to do them all one color. I know one color might have made them stick out more, but I wanted them to look a little more high-end. Anyways, I decided that I needed distressed. Yes, I just couldn't help myself. It just looked too white. Even though I wanted white, it was just a little bit too much for me. So I did do a distress with just some brown acrylic paint. And then I used some of my Elmer's wood glue to get those on because the glue gun kind of died. You'll see I checked the back and I realized the light's not on. So I flick the switch to off. And then I just set it aside because it needs to be charged. So here I go ahead and use the glue gun, which is actually probably better anyway, because we're gluing wood on wood really. And I just used an old small paintbrush to get the wood on, and made sure I was happy with the placement before I actually pushed it down. And there wasn't any rhyme or reason to which way it should go. This one had leaves on one side, so I was a bit confused as to how I wanted to place it, but I figured it out, and the love word in brown was messing with me, so I decided it had to be pink as well. I thought the brown was going to look cool, but it wasn't to my liking, so I went ahead and painted that pink and just eyeballed the placement of it. And I thought, oh, you know what, I'm pretty much done. I'll go ahead and put the hanging rope back on it. And I'm looking at it and looking at it, and something is not right. An embellishment perhaps? That is pink burlap ribbon, and it looked like it would match pretty good, so I go ahead and cut off a section, make the awareness shape, cinch it together, tie it with some jute, and then wrap it around a couple times and then get it nice and tight. And this is the jute you get at in the automotive section at Dollar Tree. So it's Dollar Tree jute. I do have jute from the craft section, but I chose the thicker jute for this project. I got it trimmed okay, and I actually ended up cutting the tails like super short because I didn't want to cover up the florals. And I'm looking at it thinking I'm done showing it to you, and then I'm like, no, something's not right. Embellishment, how about some dots and spaces? Well, I just couldn't get them to look how I wanted, and the my pink acrylic marker wasn't working. Put the dots on right away. I hated it, so I'm like, well, I have to wait for it to dry before I can get rid of it, because it's just going to mess things up even more. So I grabbed another die cut flower and painted it the way I painted the other flowers, and then put it in the middle, not quite as high as the other ones, and I liked that. I tried covering up the pink dots, but it was super noticeable that it was really bright white on the edges, and plus they were raised. So I gave it a good sanding, popped on that bow, and I'll show you the final result at the final reveal. Okay, on our third piece of wall art, we have the blank is the frame's cardboard backing, background is peel and stick wallpaper, the borders the frame, the focal points the butterflies, and the embellishments are the bow and flowers. I've already picked some out, so I'll set those to the side and then get on with the project. So I'm taking this 4x6 frame with the decorative words on the side, and this peel and stick wallpaper. These are all from Dollar Tree. The moths and butterflies are Dollar Tree wall art, and it shows in the picture they actually put the stickers right on the wall. I'm going to be putting the stickers on my peel and stick wallpaper backing. And both sides are a little bit different. Some of the butterflies are the same, and there's also some florals and greenery stickers on there as well. So taking the frame apart, and I was going to just use the paper, but decided to set that aside and use the actual cardboard. And I'm just going to trace the cardboard on the peel and stick wallpaper and cut inside the lines that I make. And it's pretty close. I do have to trim off a little bit at the end, but such is life. So it's easy to put this on if any of you have ever worked with this peel and stick wallpaper before. It comes off. It's also like the Dollar Tree vinyl. It comes off real easily and sticks nice. And I like to do it a little bit at a time, so I get it started, and then I use this Cricut tool to just slowly pull it off the backing as I'm adhering it to the backing of the wallpaper, that is. And see how easy that was? And there's not a bubble or a crease anywhere. So moving on to the butterflies, I believe this die cut butterfly came from Hobby Lobby, maybe? Somebody give it to me. And then I would like just that one die cut butterfly just to switch things up a little bit. And then I'm just going to choose the butterflies based on the shape and color. And for example, I won't put 3 yellow butterflies all the same color on this. I want a little bit of difference. So you see how this one here has the green and black. So I'll make sure the next butterfly doesn't have green and black. See, I put a pretty yellow one underneath, and then I chose this one. It's really pretty close up. It's orange, and then it's got little decorative dots on it. I'm also putting the floral and greenery stickers in the corner there, just to almost sort of frame it so it's not just butterflies on a page. But I start to get a little frustrated on the bottom because I'm like, I'm either going to have to like just squish these in, or like I don't know what I'm going to do. And then I realized I don't have to fit it in. It can go off the edges. Like nature goes off the edges, right? And it's going to take that yellow one off, and it started to rip. So I put it back down and put the green one in the corner and let the wing go off the edge at the bottom there. And I did the same on the next one. And then I just flipped it over and trimmed it with one of my utility knives, and it just came off super easy. I'm using my trimming mat there. And I also need to trim just a little tiny bit of the wallpapers hanging over the edge there. And see what a small amount of the butterfly sticker I had to trim off, but what a big difference it makes in getting it in that space. Using the glue gun that I'm reviewing and trying to get it where there's no holes so it's not going to squirt through, and I think I did pretty good. And it gave me time to move it, smush it around a little bit and get it where I want. And I realized I did it upside down, but no worries. I'll put a hanging rope on it later. So this is what it looks like, and it's already looking fabulous. And you could even forego the embellishment if you wanted, or you could do just flowers or just a bow. But for the sake of this project, because I'm showing you how to do all 5, I'm going to go ahead and do the same embellishments. I do the bow exactly the same as the other 2 bows in the other 2 projects in this video. I just make the awareness shape, cinch the bow, and then twist jute around. I used the Dollar Tree craft jute, not the jute from the automotive section like the other ones. And then I pulled out 3 different kinds of flowers, but I realized it's going to be way too much. It's just going to totally overtake the frame. So I just kind of held them to the frame to see like how big they were in juxtaposition to the butterflies, and I finally decided on those 2 yellow ones. I just figured yellow went better than the orange or the small ones. So what I'm going to do is attach the bow and flowers to the top, and I used that ruler to find the middle, and I attached the flowers to the bow the same as I attached the flowers to the bow in the other 2 projects. Twisted more twine around it, glued it down like you see here, and now I'm making the hanging string, putting some glue underneath the twine, and then using my ribbon scraps to go on top, and just a little bit of extra adherence there. But this is a very light frame, so I'm not worried about it being too heavy for the hanging rope. There you have it. I'll show you a good look at the final reveal. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. See you soon.